Hello everybody, my name is Robin Marshall and today I'm going to be making beef and broccoli for dinner. And first I'm going to be showing you how I cut up the steak, marinate it, season it, and then I'll let it chill in the refrigerator to marinate a few hours. And then later when I get ready to cook it, I will come back on and show you how I do that as well. Usually someone else be recording me, but today it's just myself right now, so hopefully everything can be the same. So let's get started. So first I'm going to start off with my steaks here, and I already washed all my steaks, pre-washed them, and now I'm just going to cut them up. And to season them with, I'm just going to be using black pepper, little onion powder, Lawry's seasoning salt, the teriyaki marinade sauce. I use garlic, coarse parsley flakes, and olive oil. And once I get it browned off and cooking, I'll also be using 2 packs of the brown gravy. Okay, so let's get started. So first I'll take my steaks like you have here, and I'll just be cutting them in regular little strips. You can make them as thin or thick as you like them, and I like them about like this. And that's a good size. And I like to cut my steaks when they're frozen or slightly thawed, shall I say, because if you try to cut it when it's all the way thawed out, sometimes it'll be difficult trying to get it cut. So I like to leave mine thawed out just a little, where it's still at a slight frozen state, but not too frozen. And that just helps give me a nice cut. So you see, just nice little size pieces. And I'll cut it up, put it in the pan. Next steaks here, just slice them up. So all I'm doing is just cutting them into pieces, nice little strips of them. And these steaks that I use are the nice ribeye steaks, and ribeye steaks are nice and thin, plus they're very tender. So when you cook them, it's not like a tough dried up steak. It comes out real nice and tender when you're cooking it. That's why I like to use it. Okay. And here here's the size of the ribeye that I use, and I use like 8 of them. These come you ever saw the little truck that be like in the mall or different places, and it's like you can buy like 20 ribeyes for like $25? That's what this is. And they're nice little thin ribeye. So instead of just cooking it like a regular steak, I like to cut it up and do my teriyaki beef and broccoli. Or sometimes I'll do the teriyaki beef where I'll add the mushrooms and the diced tomatoes with it. And I also will add the diced tomatoes to my beef and broccoli too. I also like doing that. So as I get to those steps, you'll see how it all comes together. And before I forget, thank you for joining me today and taking time to check me out. And I try to do everything step by step. So if you want to go home and make this product, there shouldn't be any problems of why you shouldn't be able to, because I try to tell you step by step. I don't like leave out any of my secret ingredients or nothing like that. Everything that I'm doing is exactly how I cook it. I don't like pause it and sneak something in or whatever. I give it to you guys just how I'm cooking it at home. So, and one, I enjoy to cook. I enjoy cooking. So doing the little videos and sharing with you guys how I cook or prepare my food, too easy. I don't mind sharing. Some people don't want you to know their recipe or stuff like that. And I think when people do that, sometimes they be putting way too much stuff in it. Some people cook and put 1,000 ingredients in something. It really doesn't take all that. So sometimes they probably can't even remember everything they put in it. So it's probably hard for them to show you how they made the product. So now that I have all of my meat cut up, I'll be right back with you and show you how I seasoned it. So let me wash off my cutting board and wash the meat and stuff off of my hands. Don't want to have that all on my hands while I'm trying to mix up everything. So, okay. Coming back now, and I can get rid of the knife and that pot. Okay. Now, see, we have our meat. I didn't cut it all up, all into small pieces, little strips, as you can see. So it's going to be some nice little beef and broccoli pieces. So first, I like to take my teriyaki sauce. And there's really no certain amount or nothing. I just take it and I just try to basically coat it. Just coat it with the teriyaki sauce. And you'll be able to see, like the bottom of the pan, you can see just like the juice that's in the bottom. That's basically just how much I basically like to coat it with that. And then my onion powder here. And I prefer to use onion powder because I really don't like onions. One, I hate cutting them. Two, I don't like the taste of them. So very seldom will you see me actually cooking something with onions. Unless it's something like maybe a stew or soup or something. And that way the onions are like getting cooked all the way down so they're like really soft. So even when you eat it, you can't taste it. It's like an onion. I just don't do onions. So from time to time, I will put it in for my husband, but I prefer not to cook with onions. So the black pepper here. And I like to add a lot of black pepper. And keep in mind when you're doing this, and I like to add all of my stuff first like this on top of it. And then after everything's on top, then I can get a good mix, and then I might add maybe a little more. Next is the Lawry seasoning salt, and not too much of that. Sometimes when I do the teriyaki, I would use soy sauce as well. And then if you use soy sauce, don't use Lawry seasoning salt, because soy sauce is so salty. And one time I used the soy sauce and I was doing my regular Lawry's like that. So salty, I couldn't even eat it. So, lesson learned, trial and error. So, I'm trying to save you from making a mistake I made. Gonna add some garlic now. And just to cover the top, that's all I'm doing. Not too much. And then, of course, my parsley flakes. Everybody who's seen me cook before, you guys know how I feel about the parsley flakes. So, I always like to pour those into my hand and just pinch them off, sprinkle them into the mix as so. Okay, and the olive oil. Olive oil is going to help it when you put it in the pan from it not sticking to your pan so much, and it just gets everything mixed up. And I always like to use the extra virgin olive oil, and that you're just going to put a little. Not too much, just a little. So, here is what it looks like before I mix it all up and mix in all of the ingredients all together. So, I'm going to put on my gloves here. And I'm going to mix the stuff together. And a lot of times, depends on what I'm making or what I'm mixing or what's inside the product. Sometimes I put on gloves because I always have on my wedding rings, and I usually don't take them off when I'm cooking. But if it's something that's simple that I mix and it's really not getting in my rings, then I usually don't use gloves. So it's just a preference. Some people do, some you don't. Hey, I'm in the defect, so I don't have to. But depending on what I'm making, if I don't want it on my rings and it's something that gets in my rings, I'll wear gloves every time. So I'm going to mix this on up. Oh, and it's cold too because the meat is so cold. But you're just going to mix it. And you're mixing it because the meat and the juice, remember I showed you the juice that was in the bottom? Well, all of that you want to get really absorbed into the meat so that it's nice and juicy and soaked in. Okay? There we are. And for me, I just want to add a little more black pepper to it. Okay. And I'm going to take off my gloves. Where did my rag go? Okay. And here you are. This is what it looks like. Nice and all mixed up. Got your beef. So now we're just going to put the little lid on it. Just as so. It's locked up, zip tight. So we're going to put it in the refrigerator. And technically, you only really have to marinate it an hour or two. But right now, it's like 2:30 or so now. So I'm going to be, it's 2:50. So I'll actually be marinating it a little while longer because me and my husband don't eat dinner till maybe around 7:38. So I'll probably come back at 7 o'clock and start preparing it. So until then, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye.